republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we approve and adopt the agenda, if I could entertain the board to possibly move action item B to A, just flip-flop those, would that be okay?
Madam President, I move that we amend the agenda on, action item 9 to move item B to item A, item A, B.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to move, under item 9, action items, B to A. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so the agenda has been amended to move action item B to A and vice versa. Now we just need a motion to approve the agenda, right?
Madam President, I move, make a motion that we approve the agenda. Wow, that was rough.
All right, second.
That was rough.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the amended agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? The agenda has been approved.
Ms. Leal, could you, do you have the meeting online? We need to get it
Do
over
I
to
have it
Tess.
on here?
Yeah,
So
it should
how
have
am
an
I
email.
connected though to, I mean, wouldn't she just see my screen?
Yeah.
But she'll hear, she's using it for sound,
So
so
just
she
for
can
sound.
take.
Okay,
yeah.
sure, let me get to that.
Did you do it?
Hi, sorry about that. Hi, Cassie. Hello. All right, do I need to mute my?
I need mine real quick.
No, you're not.
My speakers are gonna turn on.
Okay, all right. Thank you. So we are on item 4 on the agenda, presentation approval of the minutes. We have 2 different meeting minutes for December 20th, 2023. That's a regular board meeting, and special board meeting, January 9th, 2024. We can do these together or we can do them separate.
Put the recorder on, right?
Yes. Madam President, I move that we approve both agendas from the previous meetings.
Both minutes.
Yes,
Minutes.
both minutes from the
Right.
2 previous meetings.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the board meeting minutes for December 20th, 2023 and January 9th, 2024. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Both meeting minutes for December 20th and January 9th have been approved. Limited public forum. The Board of Education welcomes public comments during the visitors portion of the school board meeting agenda. All comments must be related to a topic on the agenda for that particular meeting. The public comments section of the agenda will be the only time the board takes any questions or comments from the public unless we as a board choose to solicit more information from a person or a group attending a meeting on matters specific to the agenda. All public comments will be limited to 3 minutes. The board reserves the right to cancel the public comment portion of the board meeting when necessary or appropriate. Any person making public comment shall be solely responsible for the content of those comments, and the board reserves the right to refuse to hear comments that do not fall within these parameters established by the board. The Board of Education will not comment upon, endorse, sanction, or act upon any comments made during the limited public forum section of the board meeting, except to inform a member of the public that their time has concluded. Are there any public comments? Okay. All right, seeing that there is none, we will move to item 6, superintendent's report. Mr. Maestas.
Madam President, members of the board, I'd like to start my report off by introducing, and I guess you already know him, but our new school resource officer, Officer Mann. He's in his second week with the district. And we're very excited to have him here. I think he's already made a big impact on our daily operations here at not just the high school, but at the other campuses in the school district. So, Officer Mann, we appreciate you, thank you, and I look forward to working with you and, from here on, so, thank you, sir. Okay. Moving on yesterday, Tuesday, the 16th, I did attend the REC meeting in Raton at 9. There were some very interesting discussions that we had. We had the guy from Baca Valley that did a presentation, and he wanted to let us know that the state is pushing what they call the State Education Network, which is they're trying to push all districts to go into their network so they can provide us the internet. And so the guy, Paul from Baca Valley, just wanted to bring that to our attention. So his concern is that if we go with the network, and it's up to the district to join, or not to join, but if we go with them, he's worried that because we're in such a remote area, and then we have weather that we do, that the state would not be able to provide somebody to come out here and maybe fix what we need to get fixed or whatever. Right now, it's like it's them and Plateau. We use Baca Valley mainly for our cameras, but other places use it for internet. We use Plateau for the internet and for, I believe it's our phone numbers, not necessarily the phones and stuff like that. So his deal was, he didn't wanna say he's against or for, he just wanted to make us know here at the northeast side that we need to really consider what we do, because if things go out right now, we could call them, they come out and they fix things and so forth, whereas if the state did it, it might take a while. We already know what the state thinks of Clayton, New Mexico. They hardly ever come out here anyway. And so I would be very worried if we, Plateau's already here, they'll help us out with our internet, whatever we need. And so in talking to Justin, he feels the same way, that we should do whatever we can to stay with what we have. And all the superintendents in the northeast side agreed that we have a good working relationship with these two companies, and that's the route that we would want to do. But ultimately, I guess it would get down to the Board of Education when the plan comes of what we decide to do, either join the network through the state or stay with what we have right now.
I would also say that Plateau does provide scholarships for our students. I know they have grants available and stuff, so that would be kind of a slap in the face too.
Right. So, but I honestly think that's exactly what every single superintendent in this area, they all felt the same way.
Okay.
So, but like I said, he did want to present, let us know what's going on and what's coming down the line. And it worries me because I don't know if it's just another effort to take more control. I don't know. I don't know what the motives are, but I mean, I think it's something else that's probably geared toward the bigger cities and so forth, and so that but.
What is that called again? Is it just the
It's
state?
the State Education Network is what he called it.
Sounds like a monopoly to me.
And then Janice Ruff also had a presentation. She did stuff with special ed and so forth, but then she went ahead and mentioned the toolbox training that our administrators are gonna be attending on the 23rd, I guess?
Yes.
Along with Mr. Raymond Maynez and who else?
Chelsea.
And Chelsea and Hannah Wells. And so from what Janice was saying, it's with Elena Gallegos from Washington Gallegos, and she's really good with special ed. And it's, talking, it's geared towards talking about difficult students to deal with that might be on IEPs and stuff like that. You guys probably have more information that you guys want to share.
Discipline
Discipline.
of students that are spec students or on IEPs and how we handle those situations.
So that's gonna take place the 23rd. They almost gave me a heart attack because when they said they were all going, I was like, well, who's staying behind? We're calling school off that day, but no, counselors will be around, so we'll have some backup there, but it should be an awesome training. They talked really, high of another guy, and I've had some dealings with her, she is an awesome attorney. So I think you guys are gonna get a lot of good stuff. They also reminded us that we do have the online bus training, for 8 hours. We have Paul that does the training here, but if for some reason somebody can't make it to Paul's training, they can always just, fill out a form that I have in the office, and then I'll send it off to the REC, they'll register them, and they can do it online. And I did talk to Paul about it, and he says, yeah, that is an option. But I prefer to have Paul do the training, but sometimes I know that the last training we had 2 bus drivers that couldn't make it, so I'm gonna reach out to them and let them know about this so they can get it done, and we'll go from there. And then, we did discuss the rule changes that the State Department, is trying to get done, that was supposed to be done by the 16th, which is the school calendars and the accreditation. Well, as we were sitting there, in our meeting speaking, the Secretary of Education sent something out that was gonna be postponed because of revisions, and they felt like they weren't gonna be able to make it, they won't be having ready till after the legislative session. So we all thought that was a heck of a coincidence, but there are some bills out there that, address the 180. They're trying to make it, a statute saying that the calendars are up to the board members and the school district to determine what that will be. So it's gonna be interesting to see what's gonna go down here pretty quick. The other thing that was discussed were salary, whether they're raises or they're trying to get past that all employees, regardless of what they do, the minimum they should be getting is 30,000. So like last year, the EAs went up to 25. Well, this time around, everybody that's under 30 would go up to 30, that would be the minimum. And then, of course, on top of that, they're talking about a 3 to 4% raise for everyone else. And so that was also discussed, with, our REC. And, those are the main points that were talked about, and I thought it was a very good, productive meeting, and, some good information, was shared with us. So I don't know if you have any questions on any of the topics I just spoke to.
Joe Gillian did send all of us
Yes.
that update, and there it has that, the fiscal year 25 public school support budget recommendation differences. So there's that, and then I found it kind of interesting to read the governor's,
She's already
state
said,
of the state. Yeah,
she's already said she's
the
pushing for 180 days.
Huh.
So even if the legislators do something to put in the statute, she's probably gonna veto it. And so then they're gonna have to go back to the House and the Senate, trying to get it passed in that, so they can override the veto. So it's gonna be very interesting, what's gonna happen here for, these next 30 days.
There's a transcript of her state of the state in that email that Joe sent us.
And you should be getting it.
I'm not receiving this.
You're not yet? Okay, I'll,
Well,
Can I
I'm
send
locked
you
out of all
the
this stuff, the maintenance plan, I can't see it.
I'll forward them to you guys.
It'll be in your
Did you
email.
share everything?
yeah.
I know what I'm saying.
Let
It
me
should be in there.
forward that to you.
Okay, before we get to the preventive maintenance plan, I'll get it to you guys.
Email it.
Okay, cause we had the same issue
I'm
with
gonna send
Ms.
it to you.
Yowler here today, and I got it taken care of. But I'll finish this report and then I'll work on it, okay?
That was, I just sent them that.
Okay.
That was user issue. That was.
Okay,
that was my fault.
just a quick reminder, all 5 board members and myself, we will be traveling to Santa Fe for the Board Institute on February, the 1st through the 3rd. We will be staying there in Santa Fe at the Hotel Santa Fe, not the Drury Inn, no.
Oh, we're not staying at, I thought we were
No,
staying at the
no.
church.
Where are we staying at the front thing? No?
Santa Fe, no, at the Santa Fe, Hotel Santa Fe, Hotel Santa Fe.
Doesn't sound as haunted.
I'm sure it
No.
is.
Medium haunted?
No, nothing, but I can get you into the Drury if you want.
No, thank you.
What number was it that you wanted?
It's probably the one where they don't need the key out,
I
like
wouldn't even do that
1408
anyway.
or whatever, the movie?
Yeah.
Sketch.
No one can stay on this floor.
Yes.
Take off.
So, updates on our emails, a while back, we were having some issues with our groups, where we were trying to send out group emails and they were going nowhere, right, Justin?
Correct.
And, Justin worked on it, and finally, I think, figured it out, so he has fixed the situation. Do you wanna explain a little bit what happened there?
Essentially, what happened was our group emails were getting flagged for spam and sent to moderation, which essentially shouldn't happen with internal emails, but it was anyways. So in order to fix it, I had to get into the filters and basically tell it any internal communication that's school to school to bypass the filter and let it go through. It's not really a security risk to do that because the only people that have access to those groups are internal members. Nobody, like with just a random Gmail account, can email our CMS all or high school all or groups like that. But that's essentially how we fixed it. And it took a while. I've seen other places through the forums have the same issues and almost zero resolutions on it. So it was a lot of just digging until we figured it out what would work. So
Is that just internally, or does that happen whenever, like, someone's working from home and they're on their server, but they're using their email?
it could happen at home too. So there is a gray banner that has been popping up on ours, and it's not uncommon for it to pop up even on like a personal email, where it will say essentially this message looks suspicious but it's not marked as spam. If somebody gets a little click happy and clicks on it as spam, the more that happens to a specific email address, or even if someone say they want to be nefarious and just list your email constantly as spam, eventually what happens is Google servers pick up on that address and that domain as being a spam address, and then it starts getting applied to filters and emails start getting blocked. My suspicion is that we've had a lot of scam attempts, especially in the business office. People are getting very clever at trying to steal our staff's money, essentially, to the point of where, like with mine, they'll put Justin.Doherty Clayton Schools, leave out the at, and then the end will be @gmail.com, and try to make it look like it's coming from me. And I think with some of that stuff, it's caused some of our real emails to get marked as spam, and we ended up hitting on filters, is basically what I think's
So
happened.
we had to do like a 3-step verification because of that at work, at my work.
Okay.
And we had to do a 3-step verification because I know what you're talking about, it wouldn't let you just wouldn't receive the email
Right,
at all.
right. Yeah, it's fun,
Wow.
so,
A little bit before that, some of the staff members were getting text messages
yes.
from me through my email, it said, and luckily they would call me and check if I sent it. I guess I would never send something like that, but somebody did open it, and they were asking for them to send me Amazon cards, cause I wanted to buy something for the staff. It's like, hey, what are you buying this, boss? I was like, what are you talking about, you know, no, and so that was for a short time, and then it went away, but they were using my name, my email, and they were sending text messages like and it looked like it was coming from me to the staff members. So
Imagine if these spammers worked that hard at a real job, what they could actually come up with.
They're so smart.
That is crazy.
They don't pay them.
Crime does pay.
So, moving forward, brace yourself for this one, guys. I got a call from Aaron Sena last week that our new bus is ready to come, and they're just gonna do the inspections there at Tillery, and then they should be able to deliver it hopefully next week. We've been waiting for this bus for what, 2 years? So, I haven't even told Paul, because I'm gonna have to see that bus before I believe it's here. Okay, but it's been yeah, it's been a long time, so. But that's what Aaron called last Friday and said that they're just, that they've got the artillery, they gotta do all their inspections so that once it gets here, we can use it right away, so.
And that's a yellow bus.
It's a yellow bus,
Big
yes,
yellow bus.
yes, so, that's that, and then,
Is it yellow? Is it yellow or is it orange or black?
no, it's yellow, it's just a regular school bus.
Oh, it's just like our town bus.
Yeah, cause at 25, we need a backup for that number 25, because the one we had before, it went out of, it dated out, so we can't use it, so we don't have a backup Like last year when Shirley's bus went down, we were able to lend them ours, but now we don't have an extra bus there. And so that's, you know, that it's been what, over a year, huh? Yeah, so.
I think it's
Um,
like 8 years.
Even if it's not
I
that many
think so,
miles?
isn't it like 8 years that they can be running, or?
No, I
did
think
they
it's like
extend that?
12, I think it is, or maybe,
Really?
yeah, it's a lot more than that, I think, or is it 20?
11.
It's not based on the mile thing.
No.
No, it's your.
Wow.
It's the age. Age.
So back when we played, on, January 5th, back when we played, Logan here, there was a couple of, there was some cars that were broken into in back of Yellow Jacket Gym. We did get, video footage of it, we could tell what color the car was, but we couldn't make out who the individual was, but, they did get, some debit cards and credit cards, and they used them in certain places. And so Officer Mann has gone to the businesses to see if we could subpoena or get the, video footage. It's taking a while, but hopefully once we get those, hopefully we can identify who took it. And then, hopefully we'll, you know, get charges pressed and so forth, but it's not a dead issue, it's still going on, it's just that, like I said today, it's a hurry up and wait. We have to wait for businesses to, give us the video footage so that we can move forward with it. And, how long would you say it's taking them?
So I put the request in last week. It will, I'm actually very hopeful next week we'll get the video footage and be able to review it and then go from there as an ongoing process.
Thank you.
So, it's still going, so. And of course, you see that Cassie's not here, but Cassie and Tina, they are, in Albuquerque at the Embassy Suites. They're attending the New Mexico School Personnel Association. She's there, but she's not here. Okay. Hi, Cassie. So they're gonna learn all kinds of good stuff over there with FMLA, workman's comp. What else? You guys attended last week, right?
Yeah, compliance, return to work, like if somebody's been hurt on the job, getting them back to full, you know, work. Employee misconduct, fair labor standards, employee handbooks, just a variety of stuff.
And for maintenance projects, of course, the biggest thing is, clearing of snow and ice. It was a pretty bad storm we got hit with. The guys did an excellent job just to get things cleaned up and so forth, but with the cold, temperatures, it just hasn't melted much. Today, I think was the first day that it really started melting. And then the city is, doing their part to take all the extra snow out of the middle of the streets and so forth. So that was the big thing this last week. But I did talk to Jessica just today from Honeywell. We will be having a meeting on Friday, myself, Tim Callis and Mrs. Montoya, to discuss the beginning phases for our fire panels. And so, hopefully we can get that going as soon as possible so that we can get the high school and the elementary done, you know, hopefully before the start of the next school year. I don't know how long it'll take, but, everything, you know, monies have been cleared and new to use and so forth. And so we're good to go, and we're gonna have that first initial meeting on Friday at 2.
Can you explain to me why that's been such a long process?
Well, there was some issues with, they quoted us for all 3 schools, and it was, like at $900,000. And then we started the process, their engineers started looking at everything, and, having to deal with the fire marshal with all the new, fire codes that we have to go. Now you have to have, a system in place where there's a voice activation, where it tells you what to do instead of just, you know, just, it has a voice, and so there's all these other upgrades that the fire marshal did. So then they came, Honeywell came back and said, we're gonna have to bid them separate. And so they started bidding them out separate. We did the high school first, then the elementary, and just with those 2 alone, it was over $1 million. And so then we had to scrape the money, and we ended up, using our ESSER 3 funds that was left over to use to get those fire panels in. And with that, we could only afford to do, the high school, which is the priority, because those are completely out, and the Alvis. And then I got the quote from her today, it's roughly about $333,000 to do the middle school, which is something we're gonna have to do in the future. And so that has thrown us back. We were planning to get it done, you were obviously here when we were talking about trying to get it done, and then with all the setbacks and so forth, I actually had to get involved between Honeywell and the fire marshal, because Honeywell was saying one thing that the fire marshal wanted, and so it was like, so I have a connection with the fire marshal, so I called and I asked what was going on, and basically what the fire marshal says, we're not saying they have to do all the standalone buildings have to have a main control box. What we're saying is if you can make it work with 3 control boxes and use the enunciators, and then if it reads it, then we're good to go with it. But that's up to Honeywell and their engineers to get that done, design the system. So then I got back to them, explained it to them, and so then that's when it started moving. And then Honeywell and their engineers developed the system, and then the fire marshal approved it, and now we're just waiting to get all the parts ordered and then get it installed.
Didn't we have a bid from another company that was just outrageous?
At the time, it was outrageous, and it was Johnson Control, it was like over $2 million. And so when we got the one from Honeywell, well, 900,000, well, it's a big difference, right? But then as you start going through all this, maybe Johnson Control knew something that the others didn't know, but even at that though, it's still, even with the 333,000 that we would add to what we did for the Alvis in high school, it would still be cheaper than what Johnson Control was quoting us anyway, so.
And we messed with them for a while before,
But nobody wanted to.
because nobody wanted to do it, and they actually bid it so high because they didn't want it either.
And the thing is that both of these companies are CBS vendors, so we don't have to go out for bid because we go through CBS, and that's how we get around that. So that's what happened. But, these fire panels should have probably been done a while back, but that, nonetheless, we're getting them done.
They should have been done like,
6 years ago.
6 years ago.
yeah.
But there was no funding, no
Yeah.
budget.
Yeah, at the time, there was no funding. And at the time they quoted them, at that time, they quoted them $1.4 million. So you can imagine how much it would be now, so. And then the last bullet I have there is I don't know if you guys have, logged on to, Facebook. Justin uploaded a little video where, Russell Gallagher took his drone and he did an aerial view of our track. And it's got the fight song to it, and it's pretty cool, so if you get a chance, log on to our website, right, or is it on Facebook?
It's on Facebook, it's also on the school YouTube channel as well, so it's loaded on there.
That's awesome.
So,
Cool.
yeah, he asked, we asked him to do that for us so that we could get it out there, and so, we're pretty excited about our track, so we put it out there for everybody to.
And now it's covered in ice.
That ain't gonna hurt. So, and that is my report, if there's any questions of me. Now we'll turn it over to our administrators.
Any questions for Mr. Mayor?
I would like to say that Christie told me today when I picked up the kids, what an awesome job Tim did during the snowstorm, and how he busted his ass making it awesome and fixed the pipes, and so he should be praised.
Yep, Jim and Paul, they're on a tractor, each one of them, just getting everything done. That first day, when call school off, and they were out there, they did a really good job, and, Jim today, made me laugh because he had called the city to come and help and remove the snow from the auditorium, because we're gonna have, Mr. Wicker's funeral on Saturday, and so finally he got on the tractor, he was doing it. Right when it looked like it got done, there comes the city to help out. But it's been, all the snow's, most of the snow's been removed from where they
They've
parked.
been busy too.
So, yeah, everybody's been, it was a killer storm, it really was.
I couldn't believe the junior high this morning, how much snow there still is on the lawn.
It hasn't melted at
Crazy.
all.
It seems like the lawn's gonna be dead if that guy doesn't melt off.
I think that tree line at Albus affected the way
Had to
it
have,
drifted, 'cause
yeah.
even the street behind there was full for, well, it still is, so.
Oh, that was crazy.
Yeah, it's still huge drifts in our front lawn.
You have a lot of moisture comes through.
All right,
Alrighty.
thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Hyman, Albus?
Mrs. President and school board members, the current enrollment for Alvis is 162 students, pre-K through 4th grade. So I'm gonna go over our recent diagnostic testing, so I'm gonna give you the dry facts here at the beginning, and then I'm gonna let you know kind of how we're addressing it. So, all of our students K through 4 took their middle of the year iReady diagnostic testing, and this happened about a week before Christmas break. So just to share with you the results, so when we look at our diagnostic testing through iReady, there is on grade level or above, and then there is 1 year behind, then it shows 2 years behind, and then more than 2 years. So I grouped on level or above together, 1 year behind, and then 2 or more years behind is how I grouped them. So, in reading at or above grade level, it went from 21% to 42%, which breaks down from 27 students to 53 students being on or above. 1 grade level below went from 51% to 38%, which means 1 grade level below was 64 students and went to 48 students. And then 2 or more grade levels below went from 28% to 20%, which is 35 students to 25 students. So what this data shows me in the reading is that in a half a year, more than 50% of our students have already made 1 year growth. So, you know, that's pretty amazing. In math, at or above grade level went from 8% at our beginning of the year to 25%, which meant that we went from 10 students to 31. In math, 1 grade level below went from 58% to 49%, which means that was 73 students to 62. And then 2 or more grade levels below went from 34% to 28%, which was 43 students to 33 students. And so that lands us, I think what I figured was about 40% made a year's growth in a half a year, again. So, you know, those that were 2 or more are now just 1 and slowly making their way up. So, how we're addressing it, last Friday, the teachers and I had a PLC to discuss our diagnostic data all together, and then how we were going to address it. So what the teachers kind of came up with, there was a lot of discussion amongst the teachers. They were really working together. In reading, our 3rd and 4th grade teachers are going to be working together to provide targeted intervention on reading comprehension and vocabulary, because our 3rd grade and 4th grade take the new MASA test. So they are going to really be targeting that for this semester. But we still do have some 3rd grade students that are low enough that they need some additional intervention. And so some of those 3rd grade students are gonna also be attending phonics lessons with Miss Levi's class to help provide them that extra practice to help strengthen their reading fluency as well. So they're gonna be getting that double intervention. 1st grade, I saw 1st grade and working with 2nd grade, just kind of talking about you know, what interventions work, getting ideas from each other. It was a great collaborative moment, I felt like. And then one of the things that 1st grade is targeting is, you know, what are the most basic standards, what are those important standards that the kids need really to focus on to start being successful at the beginning of 2nd grade. So they worked on that. Our kindergarten made huge growth as a group. Together, you know, that team is just rocking it, and those kids are learning a lot. And what they are going to be doing is just providing that additional phonics instruction, and then also working more on the sight word recognition to help those kids start preparing better for 1st grade. So that was really a great collaboration of the teachers just coming up and you know, throwing ideas off of each other, and you know, I've tried this, what do you suggest, this isn't working. So it was a great time. And then for math, so some things that we've discussed in our past was that our math curriculum really lacks in what we call spiral review. So you learn a standard, so say you're multiplying single digit numbers, and now you're multiplying 2-digit numbers. It doesn't ever come back to them practicing multiplying those single digit numbers. It just, this, and keeps moving forward. Well, kids need that repetition, and then they also need to go back and remember what they did in August and September, and building on it. So those are some things that the teachers have expressed are really lacking in our math curriculum. So back in October, grades 1 through 4 started using a supplemental program that's approved by the state that's called Formative Loop. And it gives students that repetitive practice. 3rd and 4th grade are using that curriculum as individualized for the students. So they get, if you have this one student that is multiplying double digits, they're working on that. If you have the students that's multiplying single digits, that's what they're working on. So they're getting that practice and it builds them up. Our lower grades, they use it as a whole class. Re-instruction or extra practice or things like that. But one of the things that it really didn't work that we had hoped it had done would provide that spiral review. In our discussions on Friday, that was one of the things that it really didn't address. So I'm currently looking into some supplemental curriculums that do provide that spiraling review, kind of seeing what other schools are using, what can we get, what's approved by the state. Once I have that together, then I'll present that to the teachers for them to review and decide what we want to do. The biggest push that we as administrators had at the beginning of the year is to have that vertical alignment in our curriculum, meaning that everybody is using the curriculum with fidelity. And the teachers have been great at doing that, and that's where we're finding more and more gaps with some of the curriculum. So we're trying to address those. And then when we find them, we're using them with fidelity in all grade levels. On Friday, the ALVAS teachers will be having an on-site PD with our iReady Math. So this will be our third professional development with iReady Math. It came as part of our purchasing the curriculum. And then, so this professional development, and we have a specialist with iReady Math that comes out. So this one is going to be iReady Classroom Mathematics, Deepening Mathematical Reasoning. While the professional development has been good, they've answered quite a few questions for our teachers and stuff. I think there's just a lot of struggle with the curriculum. So we're going to be definitely questioning them on, what are other schools using for, some supplemental curriculums as well. So that really is all I have right at the moment. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Do you think the kids, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do you think the kids that are like behind like a year or 2 years on like the iReady deal, do you think that's because like during COVID, these kids were a first grader and now they're a second grader, so they basically lost everything that they were gonna learn in first grade?
Yeah,
Like what's,
we're
are third graders
Yeah,
like
we're-
struggling more and fourth graders struggling more than
We're
everybody else?
definitely still seeing, repercussions of COVID. That 3rd grade class that we have right now, they were the preschoolers that missed half the end of their preschool and then didn't have a true kindergarten other
Right.
than remote. And you guys know, having children, parents trying to get kindergartners on remote learning, and they have a job, and they missed a year and a half.
Yeah.
And that is still what we're seeing with that group of students, but it has had repercussions. I see the 4th grade really starting to make a lot more gains, but we do still struggle with that I would say that 1st through 3rd grade, because they were the ones that were hit hardest.
I was wondering about that, if whenever, I'm sure it's the same with all of you guys across the board, I would bet.
It definitely is, yeah.
Thank you.
I was just gonna ask you, how long have you had the math curriculum?
So, this will be our 3rd year. This is on your 2nd year. Let's see, they got it now this is the 4th year. This is the 4th year.
And they have not provided any kind of resources for supplemental?
No,
Material.
and, who was it that I was talking to? One of my teachers was at a meeting, and they said, they were talking about this curriculum, when it was sold to all of us, it was during COVID, so it was an online, Zoom meeting type, and they really, really, really played it up. I think was one of my teachers that was in letters training or something, and they were talking about the math curriculum, with other schools, and other schools are seeing the same problem with this curriculum. And so, once you adopt that curriculum, so this is gonna be for what, how long is it? 9 or 10 years? So we've gotta fill in the
I guess I'm
gaps.
confused. You say curriculum, I'm thinking like your materials you use to teach
That's
those
what it is.
standards. So
Correct.
when you say curriculum,
Mhm.
are you talking about just what's in that textbook?
So when I talk about curriculum, I'm talking about like you're saying, the teachers' editions, the students' editions, they're online. The curriculum as a whole addresses the standards, it just moves at a pace where there's not enough time for that
There's looping
repetition.
that you were speaking of.
And then there's not any spiraling
So if you're
built
behind,
into
you
it.
just stay behind.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
would
if you
it be-
miss this, it's hard to get to here, and then you just fall further and further.
So the standards haven't changed,
No.
but, so do you still have your old curriculum? I don't know if that was any better, but I mean.
So I do know some of the teachers are pulling
I was gonna
practice
say,
pages. I mean,
golly.
you know how teachers are, we're gonna beg, borrow, and steal from everything we have.
Right.
And so, I know teachers, but here again, we have to make sure it's state approved. Now, the math standards did change, no, reading standards. Reading and science. Math standards haven't changed, but, so they have pulled from old curriculums, different things like that. We just always wanna make sure, as you guys probably know, that they are, approved through the state, and we're not just pulling something off of Teachers Pay Teachers, and that they're addressing our standards.
That gets expensive.
Yeah, it does. So, yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to just be
No,
really.
that's fine.
So there is no like AR reading kind of stuff like that anymore. Like, I feel like reading is huge, like, that's everything.
So, reading over the last couple of years has switched from, that repetitive reading to more of a phonics type reading. So sight words aren't used as much. It's more of a phonics type program, and they call it the science of reading. The state requires all of our K through 5th grade teachers to be letters certified, which is a program that the state provides on the science of reading. And so it's for reading fluency, and their big drive with letters. So I did the administrative training, and I think you've done the administrative and the teaching training, correct? And so it's more of the fluency of reading, and from that you build on, once you can read fluently and you can read for understanding, then you can build on that comprehension and build everything off of that. So it moves kind of away from the AR type readings into what they call decodable readers, which are them more sounding out and being able to use those phonics. So like they're studying, and that's why we don't do spelling words, because spelling words are just memorization of how to spell like. Whereas, like for kindergarten, maybe they're doing a consonant, vowel, consonant, so like cat, consonant, vowel, consonant. The kids are taught how to see those as consonant, vowel, consonant, and then how to sound out each one and then put them together. I would ask any of you guys to come to one of our classes in the morning and see our teachers doing their phonics, because they do a lot of hand motions with them, as far as, they do like cat, and, different things like that. So then they know when they see consonant, vowel, consonant, that it's going to blend, and like CH or T, I can't even think
Well,
of
to me,
it.
it seems like it was a whole lot easier the old way.
We should do whatever Texas does.
But
because
actually,
they
phonics
keep,
is the old way.
Phonics is the old way. So phonics is the old way. That's how probably majority of us actually learned how to read. That's the sounding out
Uh-huh.
and stuff. Then everything switched to the sight words, and now it's gone back to,
And that's
those.
why kids start to learn not to like to read. They like, ugh, it's so much work. I know, that's a
with it. We adopted, for this year, a new phonics program, UFly. It's from the University of Florida, and it is, recognized by the state of New Mexico. And we do it preschool through second. And then, preschool, kindergarten, and first also do an additional phonics program called Heggerty, and that's, through the state of New Mexico.
So when you pick your curriculum, you sign up for it for 9 years, and that's what you do? You can't like change it, or?
That's how long the
That's
state
how long
gives you
this-
the money for it.
Yeah, the money for it. And then that's when they like replace the student books and all of that.
Textbooks
If
are
we,
expensive.
so once we
You
adopted,
can't do it every year.
once we adopted a curriculum, if we chose to adopt another curriculum, we would have to pay out of pocket for all of that ourselves.
Wow.
And it's tens of thousands of
Yeah,
dollars.
that's insane.
All right.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Funk?
Madam President and school board members, our current enrollment is 129. That is the most that it's been since I've been here.
Woo!
So we are continually growing, which is a good thing. So we had, this second semester, we've had a 6th grade boy and a 7th grade girl enroll, so we're at 129. So that's good. Like I said, that's the most we've had since I've been here. So if, I'm gonna go over my diagnostic results with you all. If you'll pull out the Kaiser folder first. And I hope they're in order. And let me say before I start, are we where we wanna be? Absolutely not. We know that. Transparency, we're not where we wanna be. My personal opinion on it, and you know, Gus, you brought up Texas. We talked about this as administrators. I think we shut down too long. I think it hurt our kids. I think that, like she was saying, the younger kids, the kids that are in my building now were 3rd through 6th graders during COVID. And again, the online learning, when you don't have a parent at the house, or we missed a lot. And so I'm kind of speaking to you from an Oklahoman, because that's all I knew. My whole career was in Oklahoma. But I think we shut down too long. I think we shut down our sports too long. I think we're suffering there too. And I think that's some of the results that we're seeing. Now, are we gaining? Yes. And you'll see through this data, we are closing some gaps. But we're not where we want to be. We need to get better, and we're working really hard at doing that. It's like Mrs. Hyman said, changing curriculum. We did that. We did that last year. Mr. Maestas allowed us to order a different reading and English curriculum, and it's starting to look different and pay some dividends. So we do some AR, you know, in our building and things like that. So it's a process though, and you guys know that. You know, if you've been in education any time in your life, it is a process, and it's not easy, and it doesn't happen overnight, but we are seeing results. So if you will look at the first, if you'll look at Kaiser Elementary Diagnostic 1, and I'm gonna try to go through this fairly quickly because I don't wanna take up a whole lot of time. But if you'll look at the first page and then pull the second page like this,
We do reading or math?
we're doing reading. Reading should be first.
Yes.
So this is the beginning of the year?
Yeah, beginning of the year, and then this is what we just did right before Christmas. So if you'll look at the first diagnostics, we had 24% at or above grade level, and we had 46% at or above or 1 grade below. That number shot up to 38%. If you'll look at the, and then one grade level below went up to 58%. So in the green went from 24 to 38. You all seeing that? And then in the yellow, we went from 46 to 58. So half our students on the second diagnostic scored at or 1 grade below, at or above, 58%. So, and if you'll look at those, and then at the bottom, if you guys will look down here at the different grades, the 5th and 6th, our 5th grade went from 45%, 1 grade below or at or above, to 58%. And then our 6th grade went from 46% to 56%. Are y'all seeing that?
Yes.
The thing that I noticed the most about these is I look at diagnostic 1 and diagnostic 2, the reds are disappearing. And that's what we want. We want to pull from that red to that yellow to that green. And that's what we're showing with our reading. Now, if you'll go look at the math. So on the first diagnostics, again, pretty disappointing. We were at 20%. And then at, or one below and at grade level was at 60%. So when you compare that in math, overall in Kaiser, we went from 20% to 29%, and then the yellow went from 60 to 64%. You all with me still? Okay. So if you look down at the bottom, the reason I keep asking is because I think it was last year, Rick said, I have no idea what you're talking about. So I lost Rick
You
completely.
can keep asking
So
me, I'm kinda slow.
Welcome, Jana. No, I'm just kidding. But, and then if you look down at the bottom, 5th grade on the first diagnostics, we were at 54%. That went up to 60%. And then 6th grade was at 67, and that went up just 1 point to 68. But again, if you look at the pool from just look at 6th grade math on the first one. We only had 17% of our kids in the green, and that number went up to 32%. Y'all seeing that?
Mhm.
Yeah, from 17 to 32. So we're closing the gap. There's a lot of good stuff going on. Like I said, it's not easy, and it takes some time. Do y'all have any questions about Kaiser?
You did get, an award at Kaiser, didn't you?
It's in here.
Alright.
It's on
So I
the,
didn't even jump ahead.
it's
I
on
was
the
just gonna
agenda.
say, amazing job.
Yeah, so, again, another thing that I'd like to say, and I'm gonna say this the first, as we talk in our admin meetings, it frustrates me, I guess, coming from Oklahoma, because I think we need a state superintendent. Because if we had a state superintendent, we wouldn't roller coaster with governors. And that's what I'm used to in Oklahoma. We have a state superintendent and a state school board, and they govern education. It doesn't matter what party you're with, that person governs with the state school board. And when you have governor, I think it hurts our state.
Well, that is exactly what we're fighting for,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Because, we don't fit into the same mold as other places, and we can't be governed the same,
right,
right?
My grandma said the same thing, she was a superintendent in Oklahoma, and she
yeah,
said, you ought to go to your state superintendent or whatever, there's not one, there's nothing.
yeah. And Mr. Maestas has given us the updates on the 180 days, 190 days, whatever. I showed the admin team today in our meeting, Oklahoma's at 1,080 hours, and they've been at 1,080 hours for whatever, how long, and they educate 165 days. And they're not at the top, but they're not at the bottom either, you know what I mean? So,
They're above us.
we keep, I don't know, it just seems like we mess with stuff a lot, and it just, I don't know, maybe I'm speaking too much Oklahoma.
No, there's too much control.
There's not enough continuity.
Yeah, there's not, from the PED, there's not enough continuity, it's crazy. Okay, now let's talk about the junior high animal for a minute. That's a whole different animal. Right, Kim? Right, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you look at the first diagnostics, we had in reading, we had 23% in the green, and 50%, half our students were either one grade below or at or above. And then, so we didn't move a whole lot, but the green did grow. The green went from 23 to 31%, and then overall, we're at 51%, one grade below or above. So if you break it down by grade, down there at the bottom, on the first diagnostics, our 7th grade, we're at 38%, and that jumped to 42, and then the 8th grade was already at 62, and that went up to 63, so they were already pretty high. The 8th grade was. So, but again, if you wanna look at, the differences, like, for example, look at the first diagnostics for 8th grade. they were at 7 and 21, so they were 28% was in the green. That shot up to 41%. Y'all with me on the reading
I'm not,
mark?
will you go over that one more time?
Okay, right here, Gus.
Uh-huh.
On the first diagnostics, in the green, the 8th grade was at 7% above and then 21 on, so at 28%, and that shot all the way up to 41%. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So we are pulling those numbers that way.
It's just kind of weird that 60 out of 64 students were tested on the beginning of the year and 60 out of 64 were tested in the mid-year.
Now, let me give you another example of that. That's why I don't necessarily like this. It's a one-day test, and those 64 kids were not the same 64 kids that tested the first time. Because we had 3 or 4 leave and 3 or 4 come in.
Well,
And you might have 3 or 4 leave that are here, and 3 or 4 come in, or vice versa. So it's not an exact science.
Jeff, can I add something?
Yeah,
If you look at those reports, and I didn't bring that report, but see that middle part where it says, domain? So what iReady does is it tests on everything that a 7th grader should know. Even things that they haven't learned yet in 7th grade. So where you see all the green, those are things they've been taught already. Where you see those that are a lot of red, those might be things they haven't even been taught yet.
so you can see where the phonics and the high-frequency words are green clear across the board, basically. So, okay, so any questions about the junior high reading? Okay, let's go ahead and go to the math real quick. Sorry, I'm taking forever. Okay, on the junior high math, if you guys will look, again, this floored me a little bit. The very first diagnostics, we only had 15% in the green. And 39% overall were 1 grade below or above. So then, as we take the second diagnostics, that 15 went up to 21, and 39 went up to 52. So again, we're closing those gaps. If you break it down by grade level at the bottom, 7th grade on the first diagnostics was at 34. That went all the way up to 49%. 8th grade was at 45. That shot all the way up to 54%. So we are pulling that red. We're getting rid of that red. But man, am I happy with 54%? No, I'm not. I'm not. And then again, you still have all the way through 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, we still have those that just go through it and rush through it. And so what we're doing with, okay, well, I'll get into that in a minute. Do you have any questions about this? Kim, do you have any questions?
No.
You were making a face like, yeah. She's cold. Oh, you're cold, okay.
It's freezing up here.
I wish I could give you some of that of mine and you said.
I have plenty.
Okay, so look at the very back of your junior high folder and you'll see this. This was our breakdown of pass, fail for the first semester. In Kaiser, we had, and those numbers break down to, where's my cheat sheet? Hold on a minute. I had too many folders. I have a cheat sheet.
You're not a good cheater.
No, I'm not.
You cheat sheet.
I'm pretty straightforward. Anyway, I can tell you those numbers. So in Kaiser, this number ended up being 95% of our students passed every subject. 95%. So we had 5% fail at least one subject. Junior high, this number here broke down to 78% passed every subject. We had 22% fail a subject. And of that 20, it actually ended up being 16 students. Half of them just failed one. So we've started, we're gonna meet and we're gonna start intervention programs with them, with those kids that failed the first semester.
Great.
So, any questions about that?
Thank you for the.
I'm just really upset I can't find my cheat sheet. Cause it would've broke it down for you even better. know, guys.
It's sitting on your desk.
No, I saw it a while ago.
What do you think the main thing is that's attributing to the growth?
We really stress it, I mean, we really do, and I really think some of the curriculum we're using, we're using Envision and math, and then we're using that HMH, I can't say that, Houghton Harcourt, we're using that, that's the curriculum we changed and went to. We had a curriculum called Up Resources that were up to no good. So, Mr. Maestas let us change that this year, and it's a much better curriculum. But, I don't know, I'll be honest, I think we have really good kids. I mean, Mike was talking to me today about discipline, I don't have that, we don't have that much discipline, we really
But you know,
don't.
you start your day off very positive
I agree.
with your pledge or your,
Creed.
creed,
Yeah,
and that makes a difference.
it does,
I
it
felt
does.
left out this morning, I didn't know the words. I was over it.
It's okay, you were mumbling behind me, I could feel you. But it does, we bring them all out together, we do the pledges, we interact together, we do the creed, I think it is a good start, I think it is. But I think too that we have teachers in these areas that are really getting after it too. So, I did find my cheat sheet. 3 students out of 55 failed out of Kaiser, so that was 52 out of 55 passed for 95%. 14 out of 62 failed at junior high, so 48 out of 62 passed for 78%. So,
Great.
and we are starting interventions with those students next week, once we meet, so. Okay, any questions about iReady or percentage of pass-fail? Okay, basketball, we play Des Moines tomorrow. Here, there's been another game change. Once I put that schedule out on Facebook and basically said, this is the last change I'm gonna make, we changed it the very next day. So, our junior high boys play at Huff tomorrow at 4:30, our junior high girls play at Yellow Jacket at 4:30, followed by the varsities, Des Moines. Friday, our junior high boys only play Roy at Yellow Jacket at 4 o'clock, and then this coming Monday, all 4 of our teams go to Guyman. I'll just stop it right there, because might get confusing again. So there's a lot of basketball coming up. And then, New Mexico Vistas did honor Kaiser Elementary as a spotlight school, and they, we scored at 69%. That meant that on the state test, we had 69, close to 70% of our students where they should be. And so the breakdown was excellent was the top 10%, and then spotlight was the next 15, so Kaiser was in the top 25% of all schools. So, you guys, you probably saw that they came and did a story on us, and then we honored those same students at our awards assembly yesterday, and our teachers, so.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's a good thing, and I don't know, I think that we have the students and teachers to do it again, you know, so. But anyway, I'm out of breath, and I'm sorry I took so long, so. Do y'all have any questions?
How's basketball doing? Boys and girls doing good?
They're both doing pretty good, yeah, they're both doing pretty good. I don't know their exact records, but both of our black teams are being really successful, pretty
Girls have
successful.
only lost one.
Yeah, I thought the girls had only lost one game,
They beat most people by at least 30-something.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and then, some of our kids are gonna get moved up. Our 8th grade kids are gonna move up. They can still play junior high, but they're gonna move a couple of our kids up to the high school. Yeah,
Cool.
JV.
Cool, great.
Anything else for me?
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Claudia, follow both of us.
Right. Madam President and school board members, we are at 119 still. We've had some come, some go, and some come, and still at 119. I have my first semester data there of students failing a class. I know you had it for a little while, so you were able to kind of look over it to where our freshmen have pretty much stayed the same, but the sophomores have gone down to, there was only one student that didn't pass all of the classes at semester. And with our juniors, the They improved from 24% of the students to 15, so that was only four juniors that weren't passing all their class, and then all of the seniors passed all of their classes that semester. So we're at 90% of the students passing all of their classes. So
Great.
I think realistically now that, I've got the interventions and the concerns and solutions, but now that the only kids that are in Edgenuity now are the kids that need Spanish or credit recovery, like they didn't pass something, and our college kids. So those are the only ones that are in that Edgenuity room now. Because we were able to hire an art teacher, we were able to get 55 kids out of an Edgenuity elective and get them into a real life person. So I think that's gonna help a lot too.
What is
So-
the art teacher's name?
How many?
What is the art teacher's name?
His name is Eric Rothrock. He rocks.
Eric Rothrock.
Yeah.
He looks kinda like a rocker from the, back in the day.
He walked in with the beady on, the person was like, who's that?
That's the art guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Figures.
Is he at the high school all day?
Oh, yes, he's at the hospital.
yeah, I tried, Jana. I tried
Right.
to get 1 hour.
Shut her down.
Maybe next year, right? Since we will have
Band
a
teacher.
band teacher next year too.
Fantastic.
And he rocks. So, we've been iReady testing this week. We still have more makeups to do on Friday, so we've got about 15 kids that were on buses that didn't run and stuff like that. So I'll have that iReady data for you. So the PLC that we're gonna have on Friday is the actual, iReady people, but they're gonna disseminate the information help us, with what's next. So they kind of break down what the kids need and help us that way. So we have, CHS has implemented the PBIS, the Positive Behavior Intervention and Support. We had a PLC that was done by the Albus Elementary teachers and kind of walked them through how to set up the 3Bs and what we're looking for. The principles of advertising class put together a PowerPoint for our teachers to use during SEL about what the appropriate behaviors in each setting, in the hallway, in the bathroom, in the classroom, in the cafeteria. So they'll be working on that this week. And so we've been giving them virtual points, and then they can use those points to buy items from the swag store, like pens, pencils, water bottles, t-shirts, those kind of things. Or what they really want, the underclassmen, are lead campus passes and those type of things. So, we'll be working on that. Friday, CHS will have their semester 1 honor roll awards, and so we will reward students that have all A's, students that have all A's and B's, excellent attendance, so that's no more than 3 absences in one class. And all students get a lunch pass or an extended lunch pass that are passing all their classes. So you don't have to just be on the honor roll. If you are passing all of your classes, you still get the pass.
Nice.
Okay, so that's how we incentivize, C's get degrees. You don't make the honor roll, but we're still proud that you're doing well. And, don't tell my daughter.
That's true.
Right, and then Saturday, like Mr. Maestas was talking about, there will be a memorial service for Niels Wickner at Wood Auditorium at 1 o'clock.
What is that? Sorry?
Saturday at 1 o'clock. Yeah, we've got basketball games at that time too, but. Any questions on the high school?
How many students do you have in the college classes? Like, in your, what did you call,
That is
what was the thing that you called it?
Yeah, so the kids in the college classes, I think we have 16 kids are taking college classes. We had this year we even have 2 sophomores that got to take a college class both semesters because their grade point averages were so high.
Is that on a different scale? Like, is that on a 5-point scale
Yes.
to a 4-point scale?
Well, Jim can answer that better than I can, but, yeah.
So it wasn't when I was in school and we got screwed, so if you got a B, it was just a
In
B.
a college class?
Yeah, it was just a B, it wasn't an A.
No,
Ah.
you still get a B in your college class, like for your college GPA, but it doesn't affect your high school GPA to be taking a more difficult class. You know,
Oh.
it helps your GPA.
Well, it did us, so I'm glad that's changed.
Right, and then I know even with my own daughter, she got her schedule for this semester, and she's a sophomore,
Awesome.
even though it's her second semester of college. So that's exciting, because she got so many credits while
That's
she was
great,
in
and
high
save, and
school.
save that kind of money, like, that's amazing.
Tell me about it, yes. So, athletics, Thursday, the game, was rescheduled with Des Moines. And so so on GoFan, I just rescheduled it. So anybody that bought a ticket for Saturday of last week, it's still good. So you can still get in if you bought that ticket. And if you don't show up, we still get your money. Junior high boys will, like you said, will play at half at 4:30, and the junior high girls will play at Yellow Jacket Gym, and then the varsities will follow. Friday, the junior high boys will play Roy Mosquero at 4, followed by the varsities. And then Saturday, the JV boys will play Cuesta at Huff at 1, and then the JV girls will play at Yellow Jacket Gym at 1, and then the varsity girls and boys will follow. So it's a very busy home week this week. But next week it's away. Thursday, the 25th, there will be 4 games in Tucumcari starting at 4:30. And then on Saturday, the 27th, there'll be 3 games in Raton. They don't have a JV girls. And so the games that were scheduled, they just barely have a varsity. They've had some issues. We had a game that was scheduled in Maxwell, and then it had to be rescheduled, and it was rescheduled to Tuesday, January 30th, starting at 4:30, and it's just the varsity in Maxwell. So that's pretty much what's happening with athletics. And then, I have been working with Mr. Doherty, and we will make sure that everything, because like Mr. Funk said, it's subject to change at any second. You put those schedules out and then something changes. The newspaper honestly has a living, breathing schedule. But they put one in the paper that was like probably from August, and it's like changed 30 times since then. But we are gonna work, he showed me how to do it, and then I'll make sure that if there's those kind of changes, I can at least change it on the website. So as long as you look on the website or you look on Facebook, those are right, the paper not necessarily.
I really appreciate those Facebook updates, wow,
It'd be-
those are nice.
Good,
I'm
good.
glad you guys are doing those, thank you.
And, questions on athletics? And then just FFA, we have some FFA members that will be attending FFA Day at the Roundhouse on Thursday, February 1st. And then the FFA are really looking forward to preparing for the upcoming spring contest. And their first contest will be on February 24th. So that's the goings on at Clayton High School. What, question?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, lots of information, we appreciate you guys very much. Okay, anything else, any other questions? Okay, moving to board communications.
Do you need to,
Ladies, okay,
do you need to,
we'll get you hooked up here in just a minute.
but you're gonna have to keep your mic or the speaker on so they, for sound.
Okay.
Who's do you want connected to it?
Whoever mine or Kim's or,
It doesn't, anybody could. That's in this room anyway, so from the outside, but. So whoever wants to, you just need to go to myviewboard.com/display. You want to do it on yours? These TVs are kind of cool, you can see what we have. Which you want to That's 162
So you come from Delaware.
129
400.
plus
I just got
14.
162.
119 for me.
162
back and we'll just move that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just where you guys can see.
And
that work?
Okay,
Perfect.
thank you.
Thank you, brother.
You're welcome.
Can you all hear me okay?
Is it the dome?
Okay, thank you for your patience, appreciate it. So, board communications, virtual meeting with Kimberly Legent, lobbyist.
Yes.
Okay, we'll turn it over to you to see what you have to offer
Okay.
us.
Wonderful. My name is Kim. I have Barbara Tebrow with me. We're a team, a lobbyist team. I'm gonna start out by just telling you a little bit about myself, and I'll let Barbara introduce herself as well. And then we can give you a brief overview on, government relations services that we offer and that we work on. So my name is Kim. I'm a native New Mexican. I have 3 boys. They are in 3rd, 5th, and 7th grade. I'm married to a middle school principal. He's a principal in the APS school district at McKinley Middle School. And I come from a huge family of educators. I've been working in the government relations space for about 20 years. Prior to that, I was doing public relations and corporate communications for different types of clients, as well as crisis management clients. And so I lobby and do government relations work for a variety of different needs and services, everything from the oil and gas industry to renewable energy to education to healthcare. So a wide variety of different issues. I work on clients that have budgetary needs, have capital outlay needs, or just hire to monitor legislation, or be proactive and we want to get legislation passed, or we want to be reactive and we want to stop legislation. It all depends on the client's strategy and their needs. So Barb, with that, I'm going to hand it over to you, so you can tell a little bit about yourself as well.
Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Barbara Luna Tedrow. I was originally born and raised in Belen, New Mexico. After I attended the University of New Mexico, my husband graduated law school from UNM and got a job up in Farmington. So we moved there in the year 2000. He is an elected official. He is in his 4th term now as the district attorney in San Juan County. I have owned private child care facilities and preschools. I've got 4 nationally accredited schools in Farmington with over 550 children throughout the centers. Been doing that since the year 2000. Last year served as a Farmington school board member. And the term ended, and when I had to make the decision as to whether or not I was going to continue in that capacity. I decided, my husband and I had a long talk and decided that I think I could do more good behind the scenes. I've been doing lobbying work, advocacy work for early childhood since 2002. So worked on the passage of the Early Childhood Education Care Department. A lot of great legislation that has come through is work that I've done on it. And so in not running again for school board, like I said, it wasn't a decision that I didn't value what I did. I believe I had a great voice during the time that I was there, but I believe it was time to move on and do something greater and do something that I truly enjoy, and that's working behind the scenes, doing advocacy, doing lobbying, helping, taking what I have and utilizing it and helping others. So that's when I decided to kind of join Kim's team, and I've joined her and we're doing some consulting. So I do have 3 children. They're grown now, luckily, off on their own, doing great things. My oldest son graduated, he's a welder, he's working down in Carlsbad. My middle daughter, she just graduated UNM, she's actually moving out to California to attend law school. And my youngest son is doing IT, he's over at Glen Canyon University. So we're empty nesters and in Farmington. So thank you for having us tonight.
Awesome.
She's muted. You're muted, Kimberly.
Oh, I put myself on mute, sorry about that. So it's the second day of the legislative session. We're a little bit behind the 8 ball, but I think that there is some great work that we can do on your behalf. A couple things that I do want to talk about. I noticed that Clayton Public Schools didn't have any capital outlay requests in. So that's something that we'll want to work on in the future. That doesn't mean you haven't missed an opportunity because there's still capital outlay, statewide capital outlay for schools within the public education department. In the space, currently Barb and I work on early child care and education, so we work on 0 to 5 space. We don't work on any K-12 issues, so there wouldn't be a conflict. But we work very, very closely with the public education department, including Secretary Romero. And so one thing that we want to do in regards to capital outlay and infrastructure is we want to learn all about your priorities and then identify opportunities within the budget and go to PED or the Public School Capital Outlay Authority and figure out how we can achieve your goals, within, the next couple years. So that's one thing. The other thing is I did a quick search on the education bill. There's probably, a couple dozen education bills, and they range everything from, school security to, you had mentioned adding school days, in the year, there's other bills as well. It is a budgetary session, and so it's a 30-day session, and so some of these bills that have been introduced may not be germane, and they may not get a message from the governor if they're not budgetary related. And so just because they're introduced doesn't mean that they're going to be heard and passed and signed. But what Barb and I would do is we would want to really learn about your community, your school, what your needs are. For example, in Magdalena, they like a 4-day school week. That just works for their community and their families. And so one thing that Barb and I would like to do is learn all about your needs. And, that way we can advocate for you, at the legislature. You might be opposed to a bill, you may like a bill, and that's our job, is to, be your voice. Barb, do you want to chime in a little bit there?
Yes, I was actually glad that we didn't just come in and go straight to an interview. I was glad that I got to sit in on the board meeting and listen to the updates on what you were getting and about your concerns. Because, I grew up in Belen, a small farming town, and I remember back in the day when, it was football practice. Instead of having football practice on Friday, they would cancel it and the football team would go and help the ranchers bale hay, and that was their workout for the Friday. I would truly believe it leads to school choice, and I hear what you guys are saying because a lot of the rural communities are hearing the same thing. 4-day school days work for some school districts, and it doesn't work for others. You have to take lots of things into consideration, and I see all of that. And I think it's something important to you all. I mean, just listening to you. It was exciting to hear about, the letters training, or hearing about when they were talking about, the 3rd graders. Believe me, when those kindergartners weren't in public school, they were with me at the childcare facility. And can you imagine my teachers having 15 5-year-olds all zooming differently? One's doing jumping jacks, another one's, trying to, how do you, I remember talking to the kindergarten teachers and trying to say, how do I help you? And the kindergarten teacher saying, I'm supposed to be reaching around, grabbing the hand, teaching a child to write. You can't do that virtually. So, I get a lot of the education issues, and it is my passion. It's what I do. I do have a large school age program of 200 kids, but the majority is 0 to 5. But I think what I do from 0 to 5 and pre-K leads directly into K through 12. And that's where I think I put the value when I was a school board member, because I did bring that value in insight. And my school board valued that, because I did get what I do now impacts you. So we have to work together. And what are your needs? And I think it's vital. So I think it's just, I enjoy listening in on to your meeting. So thank you for allowing us to join in.
Thanks, Barb. So I think from there, we'd just like to have a conversation and open it up to questions.
Any questions?
What is the cost?
That was my question too. What is the
Yeah,
cost?
your mic's off.
Mine is?
Yeah.
I thought I turned muted myself. Oh, I did right there, but not right here.
I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on, but I can't hear
Sorry.
anybody.
Sorry, I was muted too. So we have a question from our business manager as to what is the cost for your services?
So, in the first year, because, I apologize, my son's trying to get hold of me. In the first year, because, we see it as a ramp-up year, roughly about $1,000 per month, so $12,000 per year. And then at that point, we can reevaluate. We know that you're a small district, and can't afford what an Albuquerque Public Schools might pay or some others. So, or even Farmington Public Schools.
Yeah, because right now it's not in our budget. I could move some money, but I'd have to visit with the sped director because it come from special programs. So I don't know if it's something we're wanting to do now or for me to budget for next year.
So could you hear her?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess that was my concern too, because we don't want to put any stress on, like, where are we gonna find this money? We
Yeah.
need to have some time to probably prepare. That's just
Absolutely.
my
And a
opinion.
proposal.
So I guess I'm wondering, just to be very upfront, like if you think of maybe a school our size, what were you able to bring in as far as money for that school? Like what kind of money would we be looking at?
And for what?
Well, I think
And-
that depends. We could assess, what your goals are. So is your goal to build a brand new, elementary, middle, and high school? Is your goal to have a new gymnasium? So we would want to do a strategy session with you and figure out what your goals are for infrastructure first. And then Barb and I would sit down and say, okay, these are all the needs of the district. And here are all the pockets of money within state government. And then we would identify the funding opportunities based on what your infrastructure goals are. So, when I work on capital outlay, I have rules so that I like to follow. One, is, I like the projects to be shovel-ready. I like them to be completed within 3 years, so there doesn't have to be any reauthorizations. You know, and that way we don't get put on, you know, the list that says, you know, we have a 10-year-old project that hasn't been completed. The other thing I like to do is I like to identify, you know, all of the opportunities within state government to fund, whether it be a small project or a larger project. So for example, Foster Public Schools, I was just searching their, you know, some of the capital outlay project requests. They have a $150,000 request for a building upgrade. Well, that's achievable. That's an achievable legislative ask. And that's something Barb and I would work on together in, you know, working with Representative Chatfield and Senator Woods and figuring out within their capital outlay budget how to get your needs met. Or maybe it's, you know, through PED, and we meet with the secretary and we give a presentation to PED on a multi-million-dollar ask, and we figure out, you know, that process. Barb, do you want to chime in a little bit on that?
But I think it's not just looking, right now, New Mexico is lucky that we have a very robust budget. And when people are making their asks, they're making big asks. So there's pots of money. We just have to, Kim and I just need to know what is your priority. And I think, you know, just even listening to the board session and listening to you all talking about maybe some of your textbooks, or you were talking about your curriculums, or you were just talking about your trainings, there are pockets of money for all of that. You just need to know, we need to know what you want, and then we can go help you find it. And that's the role of a lobbyist. That's our job. The other thing that I think is important to point out is making sure that when you have a lobbyist, it's your ears here in Santa Fe, because you guys can't be here all the time. It's our job to make sure that something isn't falling through the crack, a bill that is going to really hurt your district, because you are different. You're not APS, and you're not a one-size-fits-all. Believe me, I come from that mentality when I grew up in Belen and even Farmington. We're a large city, but we're not a large city, and sometimes people forget about Farmington. We're on a little corner, and people just don't even, you don't pass us unless you need us. And so, we had the same battle, and I think more importantly is we want to be your eyes and ears, because when something does, either good or bad, saying, hey, we heard this, and approaching you to tell you this is an opportunity, or hey, this is coming up, and you guys need to know about this, because it can be really detrimental to your families.
Great, thank you. Other questions from anyone? Anyone?
Well, I guess we need a list, you know, of goals, what we do want to achieve, you know, and then go from there. And
So we could schedule like another meeting with you if we decide to go forward. We could discuss those goals and strategies that you talked about and make those plans. Okay, and then when do you have to have that request for the capital outlay money? When do you have to make that?
So the individual capital outlay that you request from legislators, that has passed.
Okay.
But the opportunity to work with the Public Education Department and Secretary Romero and the Public School Capital Outlay Authority, that has not passed. They have a separate process where you can go and you can apply for funds. And that's something that Barb and I can guide you through.
There are billions of dollars, and so I actually went, Secretary Romero is from Belen. I graduated with him. We grew up and went elementary all the way through high school and graduated together. And so that's one of the benefits of the relationship that I have with him, in that, you know, I can just call and say, and he is the one that has said, there's so much capital outlay money, we have got to get these districts asking. And so they actually set up a committee. They used to meet twice a year. They now meet monthly, because they have so much money to give to school districts. We just have to you have to know about it, and you have to know how to make the ask, and you just have to get in there. and that's where we can help guide you.
Yeah, you got to know about it, right?
Well, we've gotten help,
Yeah.
we actually do have
Okay,
money from
okay,
that, so, to help with the fire panels and,
okay.
yeah.
Great, great. Okay, so that's not foreign to our business manager, so.
She's a beast.
She is. Okay, so what now? We just have to decide whether we want to use your services,
Right.
talk about the same thing like we just said, the goals and the strategies, right? But together,
Right,
Yes.
okay.
so I think that you as a group need to decide if you wanna move forward, and if you wanna move forward, then, you know, Barb and I are here and we'll help you create your strategy. And help you assess your needs and your funding needs, everything from curriculum to infrastructure. You know, we'll also, do bill tracking, we can send you a list of, bills that apply to K-12, that, you know, we have bill tracking services where they'll give a quick summary. And then you can let us know if, you know, you're strongly opposed, or you're strongly in support, or you're just neutral. There may be a bill out there that really impacts your school district and your kiddos. And, you know, so that might be, you know, something that we work on as well.
So in other school districts, do they decide those things as a board as a whole, or do they assign committees like we do? You know, we assign committees and like 2 board members and, whoever to committees, what do they usually do?
So Barb, you wanna chime in on Farmington, and then, okay.
Yes, so it would fall under your legislative committee. And so, whatever 2 people you have assigned to that legislative committee are probably the people that we would work, closely with. If not, if you don't have one, then it usually falls on the shoulders of the president. And so it would just be communication with the president, and what it would be is, like for Farmington schools, we did have a legislative committee, and I was the chair of that committee. And so I worked closely with our lobbyists, and just made sure that any bills coming back and forth, and then communication back to the board. If not, then we just go through whomever you decide, or the president.
So then do you comprise that committee of, like our other committees have board members, of course, our superintendent, community members, do you do anything like that, or do you just keep it kind of in-house?
The way that we did it in Farmington was it was just 2 school board members,
Okay,
and it wasn't open to the public, so it was just the 2 school board members that met with our lobbyists, and then we took that back to the monthly board meetings. And if something was pressing, like during the session, then we would have more communication, as needed. But primarily it just went down to the 2 school board members.
And then with Albuquerque Public Schools, I know that they do it completely differently, where it's the superintendent and then a couple other individuals in leadership, but they're much larger, so it's a little bit different. But the superintendent does play an active role in policy, because he's the one who's implementing it.
well, I would just.
Well, and the superintendents have, I'm sorry, Madam President, the superintendents do also have their associations. So they belong to the state association, which has their own lobbyists then again. So everything that's happening during the session, also the superintendents are gonna get, communication, all the time. This is a communication tool for the school board besides everything that the superintendent is hearing. Because sometimes the superintendents, when they're part of that group, it's just certain things. Our job is gonna take anything and everything that could pertain to Clayton that could be of interest to you, regardless. And our job is to just bring it to you, and then you tell us, no, that doesn't matter, or yes, thank you.
Okay. I just think it'd be important to include our business manager, because,
Yeah.
I mean, she's kind of the brains behind all of that, and, I mean, not to put more work on her, but just to like, okay, what does this fund look like, or, so.
I'll just keep you in the loop.
And it makes sense, you are a smaller district, and exactly, a lot of times there's many hats worn by a lot of the state, the one person wears many hats.
Right. Any other that you could email, and then I could send on to whoever, you know, if you think of anything else you wanna inform us on.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
And thank you for waiting through our meeting.
No problem. Brought back memories.
I'm sure. All right, thank you very much.
Okay. All right, thanks. We appreciate your
We'll
time.
be getting in touch with you. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, I can exit this meeting, right?
Well,
No, that'll get Cassie.
Yeah, don't.
Oh, hi Cassie. I don't want to exit Cassie. Okay.
John, is there money in special programs right now that like is extra, like?
Well, that's why I need to visit with, Chelsea.
Okay, I
We
mean, I
have,
can't imagine.
Right, we have 120 right now, but I need to see what it's, okay, what it's earmarked for.
We've got ESSER from.
Well, I don't know if I can use ESSER for other services or contract services, is my only issue, so. To that.
I understand, yeah. So that you could just, how long does it take for us to know that we could do that? Yes or no? Like, does it take a long, is it like a?
No, I can visit with Chelsea and we can go over and see, you know, what it's earmarked for, and if we have money
It's
to.
possible.
Mhm.
Okay.
I mean, cause you guys would wanna do it now and not wait, is that what our goals are?
I think so, I mean.
Well,
Yeah, we need to come up with something that we need, that we
Right.
can use them for,
I wish
And
we
get
would
the
have known
money.
this before the fire panels.
and the track,
Yeah.
and the track.
Yes, okay.
But it's like something like, you know, like the old junior high that we wanna tear down, like that's something that like, we could push
Yeah.
to the forefront,
That,
you know what I mean?
We just have to
The
make
locker
sure
rooms.
it's,
The locker, I
not
thought
a
that
match.
too.
Locker rooms,
Future
You know.
housing.
that we don't have to manually.
HVAC system,
Right, right.
I mean,
You know,
we can
Yeah,
name some stuff
we-
pretty
We
fast.
wanna know if there's
that we
any
need.
Yeah,
fine print.
like, cause PFSA, it's on a match.
Yeah.
Like, they'll do this, but you're gonna match it first. So we need to just make sure.
And
Yeah.
usually our match is a lot bigger than what they give us.
Yeah, we pay the bigger percent.
Mhm.
I do know this, like talking with Kimberly, that she did get Des Moines 500,000 for their daycare that they're starting. So like, that new daycare that we just like sold
Through
them the
through
building.
village.
Uh-huh, that she just got them all the money for that, did the bond for all that, so, I think she's talented.
Did they take the movement already?
So it's too much.
I'm really interested in this, if we can look into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
And I wonder if, well, no, we wouldn't, she said keep it in-house, okay. Okay, yeah. we
But
can-
you shouldn't have to be on that, like, you shouldn't have to do all that, we'll make your job like worse and more.
Right.
Well, I think that it's a, you know, collaborative, it shouldn't ever be one or two people.
Right.
And it would be paid like fiscal year anyway, so if we started in February, it'd only be $5,000.
Right.
And it's one of those things, like, if it was, like, if it doesn't go well, then, like, we don't have to do it next year, you know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing, do you have to sign a contract for however long? We don't have to do that with them?
I know, that's a great, yeah.
Would
So
you-
that would be a question.
Would you be interested in thinking of these questions that we have, and we'll send you her, you may have her email, if you're on this, we can send you her email. And just, I mean,
Ask some questions.
ask some questions,
Okay.
because that's great, those are great questions, and you know what to ask about.
Well, kind of.
I mean, okay, so you bring us this money, and I guess I'm thinking it depends on where they find that money as to whether we would have to.
Well, if it's legislative money, most of there's no match on it.
Okay.
Because we get legislative money out of the research center and there's no match on that. That's just,
Yeah, this isn't like a PSFA thing.
and most of those legislatures, they get a set amount of money every year to spend in their district on whatever they see fit.
Mhm. Oh, I see.
I did see though, in those highlights, that budget highlight for 2025 or whatever,
Mhm.
summer programs,
Oh, good,
so.
good.
Fantastic.
Just
Okay.
little FYI, okay. Okay, that was Any other discussion or questions about, the lobbyist? Okay. All right, we'll move on to staff survey.
Okay, Madam President, members of the board, I know that that's been something that has been of discussion, so I've been working with the administrative team, and we have some questions here that we are going around to see about possibly using it to do a survey with our staff. I think the end goal is to see where we stand, and then what we need to do, come up with a strategic plan to address the, whatever, concerns may be, or whatever may be that we have, that, this survey provides us, so, that's what we looked at, so.
Have you talked about how the survey would be administered, and how would it be anonymous or not anonymous?
We talked about it through SurveyMonkey, right, Claudia? And then, the thought would be that, maybe Mr. Doherty could set up some kind of thing where we can dump all the answers in there and then just get like, I guess, a spreadsheet of what the answers were, so we wouldn't know who answered what or whatever, and to be anonymous that way.
I think
And
that would be better.
You could do it through, I don't know about SurveyMonkey, I'd have to look into it as far as the anonymous part, but you can make it anonymous through Google Forms, which works very similar to SurveyMonkey, and we could use our Google Suite, and then you can even go as far as locking it down to the point where only a at Clayton School's address can answer, but those answers aren't recorded that it came from a specific email, so that it doesn't indicate who that person is.
And even as the IT guru, you wouldn't really have a way to look and find out who answered the questions that way?
I, to be honest, could I? Yes. Would it be a difficult and trying part for me? Yes, because I would have to go back and find, for instance, if Mr. Maestas was on his machine, I could find his IP, then I could relate that IP to when he accessed that survey,
Gotcha.
and then match up times. And could I figure it out? Yes. Will I? No, I don't have the time.
That's a lot of that you'd have to do.
It would
To
take
find
a
out
while to
everybody.
figure it out, but
We got him doing
to
it.
be honest, it could be done.
Uh-huh.
Imagine anything could be found if someone wanted to. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't think anything's ever 100% secure.
It goes through a server,
technology-wise.
Right.
But I think, I think this is a great start.
So are we gonna would we have like different, we come up with different versions and then we decide on what like we wanna be used, or like how would you guys wanna do it?
This is for them to put out to their teachers.
Yeah,
not us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't
Yeah,
do
so,
it.
I mean, we need to see the results, because
Right.
how else do we know what
Uh-huh.
needs improved if we don't see the results?
Uh,
But it's really, I think that's kind of overstepping our
Yeah, we couldn't do that as a board.
authority. Yes,
So the premise behind it was if it's really something that we wanted to be able to find out what is truly the concern and how can we fix it. And then come up with a strategic plan, so whenever we get all of that information, like what were the top priorities, what did most of the people say were the main concerns? And then we come up with a plan, and then at the end of the school year, then did we meet, or are we gaining on that? So more of, less than it's just always, never, sometimes, I don't know, it's truly, how can we help you? How can we help?
And the other side of that coin is what is going good?
Yeah.
What are we doing good as a district? What are we
Right.
doing right as a
It
administrative
doesn't-
team?
It shouldn't be all negative.
No,
No.
no.
so,
This, I
It's
mean,
not a
this
witch
sounds,
hunt.
has a little bit of both, you know,
Mhm.
positive and negative, what you came up with, I like what you came up with. I think I would like, I know that I hear you guys saying that we can't really ask questions about how maybe how could we have the administrators complete a survey about how they feel about working with their supervisor? I mean, I would like some information in that way as well.
Well, I think that they should be included in this as well. I mean, is that what you mean, or a
Yes.
totally different
No,
survey?
it doesn't have to be necessarily different, but I care what you guys think and how you feel too.
I think every employee in the district should fill this
Yeah.
out.
So we talked as an administrative team, during one of our Friday afternoon PLCs, introducing the survey to everybody, and then everybody sitting down, cause if you give them a week, like when we did the surveys on the calendars, only like 20% of people even voted what they liked. So to get everybody's input, we had thought about doing it during one of our PLCs or our staff
idea.
meetings.
That's good. Good idea.
Giving everybody it, they have to complete it that day. But you know, the drawback of it being anonymous is that if, you know, you have one person that's saying this or something, you're not gonna know that person said it. Does that make sense? So even if we answer that, our responses are going to be included in all of that, which I think is a good idea, but there's no way to disseminate.
What school?
If it's a
Yeah, this was out,
If it's
this
a
is-
campus
this is-
issue, if it's a district issue, or anything like that.
No, that is a problem.
Could it be sorted by schools?
Justin.
Coach.
I'm sorry.
Could it be sorted by school?
Yes, as far, would it be an identical, survey that went to everybody, but then sorted by schools? As far as your responses?
Just so you knew that it all came from like one school.
So like, would you create a different, you said a Google share?
So,
something?
yeah, what you'd have to do to be able to keep it anonymous so that you could separate that is you would have to create four, cause we, junior high and Kaiser are in one building. Golly, I can't think, 4 surveys, and then send that specific link to that specific school, and that'd have to be the one that they use to collect that data. But yeah, you could do that.
But could we separate the data that comes back, like?
Yeah, cause it would be.
Yes,
by-
cause it would be
Until-
four separate surveys. If you
Okay,
tried to
I'm
do
sorry,
it
I guess I missed
with just the same questions, if you tried to do it in all one, then you're not gonna be able to separate it because you don't know who,
Yeah, we're.
without going back and looking
Okay.
at
Okay.
where it was actually accessed from,
The
so.
only issue I would see with that is that Kaiser, we only have 4 teachers. So,
Well, but why couldn't you combine Kaiser and junior high?
you, I mean, you
Cause they're
could,
under the same roof. I mean,
Yeah, that's a good point.
why couldn't you
cause
combine
that would be
those?
4 and 5.
Yeah.
9 would be better.
Yeah.
I'm only 11.
I could probably figure the 4 out.
Three.
So would that work with like 3 instead of 4?
Yes, yeah, you could do that.
Do you do also like a district office type, you know, where
Mhm.
I think the questions for like the district office might be a little different.
yeah.
But I feel like, I mean, this could pertain to,
Yeah.
I really feel like it could pertain to all staff. I think it could pertain to the district office. I mean, with your input, the culture, colleagues, I mean, I think. And then maybe like add at the end, is there anything else you would like to, because I know you could like just do a comment portion at the end, like, is there anything else you would like to add or like something like that? Does that work? I know a lot of schools do these twice a year, some do them once a year. I mean, it just kind of helps keep you
Diligent.
focused, yes.
Yeah, it's
and-
just good to be informed, like, no matter what, like, good or bad, you know? You can't fix anything you don't know is wrong. You
Right.
can't.
Well, and we talked about with Mr. Maestas and the administrative team, you know, helping to use that to drive our professional development at the beginning of the school year, during the school year. So it being actionable feedback that we could then use to provide what they're asking for and what they're needing.
Right.
And then that's a great, tool for us then to be able to, observe, you know, did it improve the situation, has it gotten better, and then they would be able to give us feedback
Definitely, just like for your, just like your iReady deal, you know, you could be like, in the beginning of the year, we were here, and like, now we're here.
Yeah.
You know, I think that'd be awesome.
So how soon can you get this done? Like, what do you feel like is a good timeframe?
Friday?
It might depend
We're
on.
looking at Justin.
I mean, whenever I have the questions, the surveys would take maybe 10 minutes to create. It wouldn't take very long.
We were hoping for Friday.
And honestly, I would propose setting it up under an account, not mine or any individuals, but maybe like one of the admin school accounts or something that doesn't get used, just so it's not, tied to any specific person, and then that data I can share wherever it needs to go.
So we
I don't
could,
know who all's supposed to see it, but.
we could potentially see this maybe by next school board meeting?
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys obliging.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion under staff survey? Anything? Are you all happy with these? What about like the end, like a comment, like anything you would like to add?
I think there should be a comment go at the bottom, then we're to you.
Isn't the
Someone
last question?
That last question
What do you
to
want?
ask that.
Yeah, I
Doesn't it
mean,
say
the last
what
question
you-
pretty much said.
What do you,
Okay,
what's
yeah.
something you want us
Yeah,
to
it
know?
does,
Mr.
it does,
G.
you're right. Okay. Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay. Because it's not ours.
Cool.
Okay, moving to financial matters, consideration and approval of financial reports.
Okay, Madam President, members of the board, I have added a sheet to the packet, just for your information, regarding the class of 2025 funds. And just full disclosure, I hope you take the time to read it and let me know if you have, or any of us, if you have any questions.
Is that
So,
page 36?
I added it, it's just one single
Oh,
page.
okay.
And then after reviewing the financials, do you have any questions for me?
Does that single page end the digital?
It is.
At the end of it?
Let me see.
Oh, look, it's okay.
Okay, yeah. It says financial, the heading, it's PDF, financial reporting of activity account.
Is this a possible audit finding?
It's a lot of things.
Mhm.
It's very important.
Okay,
I just wanted to meet you guys
okay.
because it all, I control those accounts, and so, yeah. And it's consequences for our employees as well, sponsors, of the fundraising, so it's serious.
Okay. Maybe something we need to put on our items for future, or need an executive session, right?
Yeah, hopefully it gets resolved. but
Okay.
it's
not resolved yet, right?
It is not. To my knowledge, it's not.
Yeah, right.
All right, any questions on the financial reports?
How do we remedy this?
It's easy. They need to bring school funds to the school. It's easy fix. But it has dire consequences if it's not done.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. For the district.
What
Well, for them.
fundraiser was this?
It's the class of 2025. There was 3 fundraisers now.
It's just in some random bank account?
Yeah.
Well, yes. You know for sure it was deposited in the thing, or is someone?
I wasn't told it was deposited. It was deposited elsewhere, they said. say it's for the class, they can't use the school's name. They can do whatever they want out there.
But if it's for a school function activity that they're gonna do, then if they do that when they wanna bring the money to use it in a school activity, we can't accept it. Because that's coming from the attorneys.
But if I wanted to go raise money for the FFA on my own, I could do that, and I could give it to the FFA. Is that?
You could make
But
a
you-
donation.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you couldn't say, I'm doing this fundraiser for the FFA, like a cake auction or whatever. But you could say, I'm doing a cake auction, and then you could donate the money. But you couldn't use the school's name, the activity name,
And you couldn't have kids selling it, right?
right,
For that purpose.
for that purpose.
Well, they could do whatever they want on their time.
But they can't for that purpose, for the class of 2025, they can't do that, that's what they're saying, that's the problem. If it was, we don't know about it, you're not saying it's.
And then they just donate the money, they don't say how they got it.
That's a
They-
different thing.
But in this particular case, all three of the fundraisers, they did a fundraiser request form through the school, then they did the fundraiser, but didn't deposit the money to us within 24 hours, and they opened up an account. And so that money doesn't get put through the school the way it's supposed to be done, and they come down the line and they wanna use it for whatever, we can't accept that money as a district. And I'm getting, a legal, wording for that, so that we have, what the law is.
Why did you not accept it? I'm trying to be denser.
Okay, so what are you saying if they raise,
If they raise money outside, and then, but, like, perfect example, the school already heard and approved the senior trip for this coming year.
Yes.
Let's say it's this class, so they have this money outside of the outside account, but then they wanna bring it in and use it for the senior trip, you can't because it's a school function. That, any money that's being raised for the purpose of the senior trip or any other thing that's in here has to come through the school.
Well,
through our-
and probably because they filled out that fundraiser request,
They
that
filled
is,
3 of them out,
that
yeah.
is filed, I mean, our auditors see that.
Right.
Yeah.
So they filed them all, and there's no money to show for it.
no, we make that.
I hear that part, but
Gosh.
like, if I wanted to donate my own, this
Yeah,
is
but you're
hypothetical,
not-
my own money to my kid's senior class,
Yeah.
you could accept that.
That we could, but you didn't do a fundraiser request form, and you didn't make it.
Did it on my own time.
Yes,
I think it's the form
And you didn't
that
have
throws it
kids.
all off.
it's,
Right.
I'm using
It's the
the
form.
CHS
That-
and
that
You
makes
made
it the
it
district's
clear that
money.
you're gonna raise this money, and the money's
For-
not in the account, so therefore.
Mhm. That's how we caught it. It's like, well, was there a winner? And then we got thinking, well, where's the money?
because every time we do something like that, a 50-50 or a chicken flop, whatever it is, whoever the top 3 winners are, all the money gets deposited here, we get a W-9 from them, then the district cuts them a check.
And then we
That's-
report
There's
it.
our checks and balances.
There's a lot of stuff that has to go on the inside that people just don't realize on the outside. I mean,
You know.
I mean, just like the W-9, I didn't
Mhm.
realize that.
I didn't know that.
Because then we
Yeah.
have to report it to theirs.
Yeah.
Well, because it's winnings,
Right.
you know, just like if you go gambling and you win, they're gonna take their chunk, you know, the IRS is,
Thank you for letting us know.
I'm
Alex.
donating it back, because I don't want to have to deal with that. So if someone donates it back, they don't have to deal with any of that, right? If they donate
That's
their
right.
winnings, they just.
oh, yeah,
give it back and they don't have to deal with that.
Stays there.
exactly, yes.
Stays there.
No.
Right, so when another class did that, and Gus won, he just gave it right back. He didn't fill out a W-9 or anything.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I hope it made the account, I guess.
It did, it did. This is the first
Hopefully.
time, this has happened
Yeah.
in my lifetime.
Well, and even our contractor said she's never heard of this, any of the districts she takes care of, which really scares me.
Okay, so we still have to, I'm looking for a motion to approve the financial report.
Madam President, I move to, approve the financial report.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the financial report. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Financial reports were approved, and there are no bars and transfers.
There are none.
Okay, so we're going to deal with item B.
Don't have to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
You do a great job.
Thank you so much.
Okay, action items. So we moved B, consideration of approval, and approval of reorganization of board and committees. We, per policy, we do this every 2 years. So it's also nice when we have new board members come on to do this. So we'll start with board, and then we'll go to our committees, and our two committees are finance and audit committee, where we have 2 board members, and that's where I was telling you, like, community members and.
And they meet how often?
Gosh, not very often.
Yeah.
Not
Right around,
no.
the finance committee meets right around when we do budget. And so that's gonna be like April through whatever it is until budgets are done, so that you guys can stay informed of what we're getting for SEG and all that stuff and how it's calculated and everything. And then you guys can report out to the board. And then the audit committee, we meet for, an entry, meeting with the auditors at the beginning, we have them in there. And then we could have various, and then at the end, we have an exit meeting. And then from there, when the audit is completed, then somebody from the audit committee would then recommend the approval of the audit and so forth.
Is the audit.
Yeah.
But our auditors also go over it with us in
Yes.
our board meeting.
Yeah.
So, but like if you're on that committee, you can say, I recommend we approve the audit, or you can say, there's something that, yeah. Okay, so reorganization of the board, we'll first start with president.
Madam President,
Yes.
I just went blank. I nominate, you for president.
You forgot your name?
Yeah, I did.
I second.
And all that.
Well, how do I do that? Then do I see if there are any other nominations? Any other nominations for president? No one wants to jump in the fire? Okay. Okay, well, I accept, so I'm the only nomination all in,
So, you go by acclamation.
okay, okay. All right, thank you for trusting me. All right, so I'll open the floor for nominations for vice president.
Madam President, I nominate, Mike Lawrence for vice president.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, any other nominations? So Mike, VP, by acclamation.
I don't have to call you VP, but.
VP Barnes.
You do have to call me that.
I wouldn't call you Madam President. But I'm just gonna call you Barnes.
And then I'll open the floor for nominations for secretary.
Madam President, I nominate John,
John Liao.
Or no.
He's not
I
secretary.
I thought your last name was said it.
You're
John,
getting
thank
sleepy.
you.
Yeah, you're getting sleepy.
Yeah, the Red Bulls are.
I just wrote down John Leon on the game too.
You get sleepy too.
Yeah.
And he's not watching this, I promise, but. Any other nominations? Did I get a second for that?
I second.
Any other nominations for secretary? Okay. Come on. Alright, great. Committees, finance committee. So finance will go over budget. So, usually the president doesn't sit in, I would just take place if someone couldn't attend a meeting. So,
I'll do fine.
okay, Mike would like to be on finance,
I would like to be back on the
audit,
audit.
Should I do finance?
I'll be happy to do audit.
You gotta jump.
Sorry, my bad. He
No, that's okay.
just
You
said
guys
how
can
big
jump
the
in.
book was, so I was like, well, that's.
Strong enough? Okay.
My bad, sorry,
Okay.
sorry, Shannon.
I didn't care.
I'll make you a name
Just
slate.
like,
I got it,
I
okay.
feel need to-
Was it you
Okay.
that made me? Perfect.
So, Finance Committee, Mike and Gus, and Audit, John and Jana. Now, we have to have 2 community members for each one, and in the past, I think we had April Gary for.
April Gary was for the audit committee, and we had Lorenzo Montoya, but Lorenzo moved out, and we haven't had anybody. I did reach out to, Mr. Baker. He said he'd be happy to serve as a committee member for the audit committee. And then for the finance committee, we have Adam from Ranch Market, and then we have Carla Taylor from the city. Whoa.
Really?
So,
Why? Okay.
she hasn't officially told me she won't do it, so when she does, we'll find something.
Okay, let me ask you, are these people showing up? The ones that have been there before?
They,
'Cause we
yes,
need people who will show up.
when we let them know that they need to be here, they usually show up. The one that wasn't showing up anymore was Lorenzo, but he was
Yeah,
between
he
here
was
and there. Adam, the last time I had to call and remind him, and he said, oh, yes, I was gonna go, and I forgot. But Carla's been pretty good about showing up, and April's good about showing up.
Okay, so how about this? What if we, just a suggestion, thought of 3 for each committee, so that there's like an alternate there in case someone says, no, I don't wanna do it.
Okay.
I mean, so you said, I think Rick would be good on the audit, cause then he went out.
And I've asked, Ward, he told me he would get back to me, he wasn't sure if he wanted to do it, so I'll reach out to him again.
For the audit committee?
I believe it's,
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I think,
so I can reach out to him and tell him we'll have,
yeah.
I'll tell him we'll have 3 people and one's an alternate, so he doesn't have to worry, whatever, I don't know.
No,
No, just-
no, he doesn't have to worry, I'm just saying, if he says, no, I can't do it, then maybe, then you go to this next person to see if they could. So we need, so April was on audit, you
Audit
said?
committee.
Okay, so I think we have the April one.
The audit,
The audit, so we have April, Rick, and Jordan Ward, Jordan.
yes.
Yeah, and if he doesn't, if he wants to, and, I mean, someone on the finance committee doesn't want to, Adam or Carla, maybe he would take their spot.
Okay.
Does that sound good? Do we need another name just in case? What do you all think? I'm just thinking, cause
I don't know how willing these other people who have been involved have been, so.
Is it that, like, when they just scatter whenever you need them?
it's hard to get people to come.
They're actually, like I said, Lorenzo was the only one that wasn't showing up at the end, but, you know, once we communicate with them on a timely manner, they show up.
Right on.
Okay. Well, I guess if you guys think of someone else,
Please let us know.
He's the new manager for the new bank. He used to work for, Craig. Here, lives up in Superior.
What's the name?
Dawson Higgins.
Dawson.
He won't do it, but he'd be excellent.
He won't. Great choice, he will be you. All right.
So, who wants to take charge of contacting him if you know him?
I will.
And so for, what committee would that be? It would be for finance? Finance. Okay. Okay. All right. So I think we covered all our bases there. Now, I do want, I mean, I feel like it doesn't matter who is an officer, who is not an officer, because we are one team. So, and we act as one collaboratively, okay? Okay. Then moving to action item C, consideration and approval of hiring Kimberly Legent as lobbyist. We may need to
Madam President, I move that we table that to make sure we
I'll
got the,
Madam President, members of the board, you, flipped the two, you forgot the B.
oh, we have,
You forgot the A.
Oh.
The A, the B, one of the two.
I'm sorry. Okay, sorry about that. Alright, so scratch that, we're moving to how we amended the agenda, sorry. To the consideration and approval of superintendent's contract. This does not require discussion because that was done, that's a personnel matter, so just so we know that.
Madam President, I move that we, give the superintendent a new contract.
How long?
A year.
Is that the normal year, they get 1 year?
It's up to you guys.
Well, they
That's
have
what
been-
with me, it's been a year, yes.
Okay, so I have a motion for, a new yearly contract. Do I have a second?
Honestly.
Okay. I have, it's been moved and seconded to approve the superintendent's contract for the 24-25 school year. All those in favor, please say aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, so I would vote to break the tie. I vote yay. Yay? Yes. So the superintendent's contract has been approved. Moving to C, consideration and approval of hiring Kimberly Legent, lobbyist. That's what we started.
Madam President, I move to table this motion.
I'll
To the next
second that motion.
Okay, so then we'll get, you could get her, I think Cassie has it, actually.
Right now.
And you have
what?
it too, her email?
I already gave it to you.
Okay,
He sent
great,
me her
great,
contact
great.
information.
Okay, all right. So as long as we can buy, you know.
Okay.
Johnny, do you think that, by next board meeting, like you have that
Oh,
information?
Yeah.
Was that, is that gonna be like too late, like with her, them already being in legislation and stuff? Do we need to like?
She didn't say.
Well, it depends on what you guys wanna do with the money,
Uh-huh.
or like some goals, you know,
Uh-huh.
which we need to.
Is it too much too soon kind of thing?
I mean, if we can get it figured out and, you know, find out what's coming up at the list, you know, if she can be there for us, I mean, it's up, you know, it's up for discussion, but.
Already in that, she's probably doing something.
Okay, so do we,
Right.
maybe we need to schedule a work session to come up with our goals
Okay, yeah.
and strategies, right?
Mhm.
So, you know what, we could, or we're all going to the training?
Oh,
And
do
you're
it
going?
Yeah.
Okay, and then we could, I mean, cause that's coming up pretty soon, if we could just post that, because we have to post that we're all gonna be together anyways.
Mhm.
Could we use a work session during our training? What do you all think?
Oh, for it.
And administrators, do you have ideas too for that? Can you come up with something?
Kind of sprung it all on.
We can come up with stuff at the admin meeting, we can discuss that.
Yeah, like, do you know what we're asking for? You all tired?
Claudia's like, no, I don't.
I do,
So,
I'll let them know.
yeah, so just some, if you think of specifically your buildings too,
Like-
and then we
Like
could
those
bring
locker
those
rooms
in.
at the stadium, stuff like that.
Mr. Funk's face just got really red.
No,
Put his hand on his goal.
I'm cold.
It's cold.
Okay, good idea. Let's get feedback from the buildings.
Yes.
Okay,
I
so,
think we got them all.
right. Okay,
Well, so, you know, for this year, I just have to, like you said, the 5,000. I'm sure that, you know, we could find that. And then we'll budget, I mean, if you guys wanna continue,
Then we can budget.
we can budget.
Budget it for
Yeah.
the next year.
so this might be a good time, actually.
Yeah.
It could turn into a very good time,
Mhm.
because I guess you need that, a little bit of time to let her know what our goals and stuff are.
Right.
So, okay, so if we could have a work session scheduled for
February first, second, third. One of those days.
First.
Probably have to be the first or second,
Oh, yeah.
because, Saturday we travel back,
Okay,
unless you do it early in the morning, but.
You know, we could probably do this on the trip down there.
I'm serious.
Yeah, can you, I mean, is that allowed? Can we just like hang out?
Yeah, we're all together,
Have to
we're all
advertise.
together.
Turn the radio down and just get smash it out.
Okay.
Cause it's already gonna be written that we're already together, right?
Okay, so then we'll post it for Thursday, the first,
Okay.
as we're traveling down, right? Okay, and you guys, and you'll also post that we'll all be
Yep.
together for 3 days.
Well, Cassie, yeah.
Okay. Very good, Cassie. Done. Where did she go?
Where's Cassie? Oh, she said I logged off.
Okay,
Listen.
She's done.
she's done, okay, very good. So we are tabling item C, that means we can move it to future. Okay, moving to action item D, consideration and approval of preventative maintenance plan for 24-25.
Madam President, members of the board, this is a plan that we have to do on a yearly basis. I work together with Tim, and what we do is we look at all the projects that we kind of like accomplished, so we put down the track, we put down this, we still have the fire panels that are coming up, and then we put some other things that we, might, wanna look at. I know that one thing that's really gonna come up is gonna be that roof up at the middle school, so that's something we can put on our list also. Because, they did a sealing of it, that's supposed to last 7 years, we're already into 3 years of it, 4 years into it, so in 3 years, we're probably gonna have to replace that entire, roof. And so we went in and we looked at it, and we just, basically changed some dates, took off the list of things that were accomplished, and then we added some other things on there. And the rest of it is pretty much the same on a yearly basis. And so this is due at the end of this month, and then, once, if you approve it, we'll get it submitted and we'll get it done.
Madam President, I move to approve the prevention maintenance plan for 2024-25.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the preventative maintenance plan for 24-25. Any questions, discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So the preventative maintenance plan for 24-25 has been approved. Okay,
For the sign. Need a signature for this. I'll just keep this one.
let me blue in.
Blue, which blue?
I don't know.
Oh, just that, oh, they're using black.
I'll get you the sign, and I'll sign it, then we'll do this.
And the meeting minutes, did she leave those? with-
She didn't get them done, so I'm gonna have to ask you, John, to come in and sign them,
Okay.
probably next Monday when she gets back.
Yeah.
Monday.
What about the bank cards, that we used to have to do that signature when we changed roles, but I don't,
Oh, okay.
I don't know if we have to do that.
I can contact the bank and ask, I can ask them.
Okay,
It's probably a good practice to do it.
okay.
Yeah,
Items suggested for future meetings? So we could maybe bring up the lobbyists.
Yeah, bring the lobby still back up again at the next meeting.
If we don't do.
And I would like to hear about the step survey.
Yes, survey.
yes, staff survey.
Okay, and then, I was just wondering, and I think we brought this up sometime before, it's been a while, but, I do believe that like, there might be like a need for an HR position, like person, and maybe to where it's not an administrator. So, like a, it could be somebody who's already here, I don't know, I mean, I know everybody's spread kind of thin, but
Well, Cassie's HR.
she is HR?
Yeah.
Okay, I did not know that.
Kathy's HR, so why doesn't she do like the staff surveys and stuff like that?
Well, just ask her or tell her, like,
Is she HR to where, okay, like.
She handles all the new hires and
Mhm.
make sure that all the paperwork's done and so forth. She'll assign trainings for like vectors. That's just one hat that she wears, and then she's also the board secretary, and then she's my secretary. So she's, yeah, but.
So is she the person, because like in our policy, there's like those forms for like, if a staff member wants to fill out like a grievance or something, is she the person that goes to?
Mhm.
Okay.
Is anyone doing a staff, like an exit interview?
I think that'd be a good idea.
That should be
To incorporate.
HR, right?
Or that type of job?
There's
Yeah.
no exit interviews being done?
I don't think there's ever been.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I've never, even whenever I.
Really?
So if it's something
That is crazy.
you wanna add,
I feel like
I
you
mean,
should
yeah,
probably
just,
ask.
you know.
I think
Why
that's
are you doing
important.
that?
I think it's just,
You
like, we talk about transparency and,
Right.
I mean, we're getting there, and so we just need to,
That's a good point. How do we implement, how do you implement that?
they would HR would,
I can
Cassie,
visit with,
Cassie.
I can visit with her.
and there might be other school districts that
I
have.
have one.
Do you?
Yeah, I have one, it's something I have brought up before, but yeah, I can give you a copy of
Okay.
it. Exit.
Okay,
That'd be great.
great. All right, any other, items suggested for future meetings? And you all know you can call, you can email, I'll try to do a better job of bringing a board member whenever we plan the agenda. So Janet, if you wanna come, to the February meeting, just so you can see how it all works.
All right, let me know.
Okay.
For what is that?
Just to plan the agenda with Mr. Maestas.
Oh, I see, okay.
Yeah. Okay, and we did not have, any action items relating to executive session because we didn't see any.
Madam President, I move to adjourn.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The meeting is adjourned